Hey everyone, welcome to the Amplify Digest. I'm your host, Lars Schmidt, and I'm back. I've been out the last 2 weeks traveling for conferences. Yes, those are happening again. I'm back this week to record this Amplify Digest, and then I'll actually be out on the holiday again next week. So after that, we'll get back into a regular cadence of producing these videos. In the meantime, let's dig right in. I want to open with this piece from the New York Times, and it was a fascinating deep dive into really the nature of offices. And as many of us are in kind of return to workplace planning and execution right now, it pulls a lot of data from studies around things that we need to be mindful of, particularly as it relates to creating equitable offices, equitable workplaces for all of our employees. So lots of data in this one, definitely worth your time. Stripe put out this really useful post on equity and how to look at equity for employees. And I think this is a topic that a lot of the way we learn about these things is through peer-to-peer sharing and collaboration. And it was great to see a company like Stripe kind of open this up and give a look into how they actually look at equity within their organization. And I think for those of you that are in, especially in the tech side where you're looking at equity structures within your organizations, this might be a good reference piece for you. This is another great piece for HBR. A couple pieces from HBR featured this week, but this one's around leading an exhausted workforce, and it really gets into some of the things that you need to be thinking about, particularly from a leadership standpoint, that you can do to support your employees, many of which are exhausted, and you are probably exhausted yourself as well. But as it relates to kind of taking load off their plate when you recognize that they need it, to role modeling behaviors, to creating more flexible constructs and work, there's a variety of things that you can do. And so I found this piece to be pretty actionable and a topic that many of us, I think, are grappling with right now. This is another piece from HBR on looking at multi-generational workforces with an emphasis on elder populations in the workforce. And it was an interesting piece that got into generational differences, but really, I think as we talk about DEIB, there's a range of lenses through which we should be thinking about this, and age is certainly one of them. And we have the most diverse generational representation in our workforce than we ever have. And it's important for us to really be mindful about some of the programs that we have that particularly may be excluding older workers and older employees. So this is another piece that's worth your time, particularly as you really look at the broad brush of the efforts and the considerations as it relates to DEIB in your workplace. And I also want to share this piece that's a really helpful open source resource on 30, 60, 90-day planning. It was an open source resource that was shared and contributed that included their own 30, 60, 90-day plan, but also others that they had curated. So for those of you that are designing onboarding plans, which all of you should really be putting a lot of thought into these days, this is a helpful open source reference to help you design that in an effective way and look at how other organizations are approaching it. And last, on the podcast this week, I had Daisy O'Shea Dominguez. She is the Chief People Officer at Vice Media. She's an author. Her new book, Inclusion Revolution, is something you definitely want to get your hands on. And it was a really refreshing conversation about Daisy's career, her work in DEIB, her book, the writing process, and so much more. So you may want to give that a listen. And in the meantime, that's a wrap for Amplify Digest. It feels weird. I was gone for 2 weeks. I'm back this week. I'm gone again next week. But the week after that, I will be back and I should have some more consistency to publishing. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you in 2 weeks.